The Fan. It's 10:02 on this Thursday. Tiki and Tier, do you hear? Yanks offense dried up a little bit last night. Mets getting that good look back, a little mojo. And we got Max Scherzer. Today's a big start for Scherzer. I'm looking forward to this. What's up,
Pitching
T?
was good yesterday. Pitching was good for the Mets.
Yeah, it was.
Pitching was good for the Yankees.
Yeah.
The hitting went away. And look, they lose one out of the three out in Seattle. And look, you take it because they have been hitting, scoring a ton of runs except for last night. And the way that it ended, though, just left you feeling a little bit, disappointed. Gets into the 10th inning. Obviously, the Seattle Mariners took advantage of it. The New York Yankees did not. They had the bases loaded.
Yep.
Bases loaded after the gifted runner. Then they get a walk and they move someone over and infield hit, things of that nature. And then Anthony Volpe comes up, BT. And I was just waiting for Anthony Volpe to have that moment. He's batting sub 200 in this month. He hasn't really gotten above 200 in any so far this season, even though he had a pretty good April. He's hit some home runs, got 8 home runs. His OPS is way down there.
Yep.
I think he's 18th or 20th out of qualified shortstops. He's having a really rough season. He's booted 7 of 200 or so chances. They give you the chances from the plays that come in the infield, the assists, etc., and errors. He's got 7 errors. He's almost. I don't want to get on him because he's a young kid, but I think the Yankees are getting ready to have an Anthony Volpe problem. And this isn't to say send him down. He's not ready. He's overmatched, because I don't think that's the case. He always has this calm demeanor about him. He always seems to take the negativity in stride. But I'm just going to keep it real, because I went through this, and I think every professional athlete in New York, except for the greats like Henrik Lundqvist and others, at some point you hit this lull, this nadir, and it's happening early for Anthony Volpe, where it becomes time for the fans to start getting on you. It comes time for media to start drilling into the negativity. And if Anthony Volpe is going to be a sub-200 hitter who maybe every now and then runs into a fastball that he can catch up to and takes it over the fence, but it's not really meaningful, then Anthony Volpe is not serving his purpose for this Yankees team that has expectations of getting deep into the postseason and going to win a World Series. Look, I hope I'm wrong about this, but it's time to start looking at Anthony Volpe and some of the issues that he has, especially not hitting in clutch situations. And again, this isn't a reaction to last night.
No, I got
it
you.
Is what, it's
June.
just the totality of what we've seen in the first 2 months of this season for Anthony Volpe, who has so much hype around him, so much expectation, and he's not quite living up to it.
Let me ask you a question. And listen, what you said is undeniable. I really thought and hope Volpe would be showing a little bit more at this point. I'm not going to deny that. Every Yankee fan, if you're honest, has to say that. But how is Volpe different, aside from the hype, okay, and the expectations, from 3 or 4 guys that the Yankees trot out every single night? That's a legitimate question. Like, why are we not talking about several other? Like, why the focus on Volpe?
You know why? Because I look at the other team in New York, and I look at Francisco Alvarez, who had all this hate. Francisco Alvarez was the top prospect for 3 years? I think he fell back.
He dropped to about 2 or 3, but he was up there. I don't know if it was quite 3 years, but yeah,
just
certainly.
The guy. And all we heard was, he's not going to be ready. He's not going to hit major league pitching. He's a terrible defender, which was, and you see it, and it's complete nonsense. Francisco Alvarez is now proving, he's, by the way, over the last month plus, he's the best catcher in baseball.
Yeah, he's been very good.
Forget rookie catcher. He's the best catcher in baseball per OPS and framing and everything else that goes with being a defensive-minded guy. So I can't help but look at Francisco Alvarez, who is this unbelievable talent in the minors, prospect, who comes up and he's doing his part and then some.
What about Beatty? How come Beatty's not doing a whole lot? And I love Brett Beatty, but a little selective on your end going without. Beatty's got a couple of home runs. What is he doing?
I got to tell you, I wasn't looking at Brett Beatty as this this savior for the Mets. It was never in my mind. In my mind, it was Francisco Alvarez is who everybody's talking about, who everybody was clamoring for.
I mean, Beatty was a top prospect.
I know, but Beatty had some really good years in the minor, but he was never the top prospect.
Okay, but neither is Volpe. Volpe wasn't the number one prospect.
He was been the number one prospect in the Yankees organization.
I understand that, but he's not the number one prospect in baseball.
He's been the number one prospect in the Yankees organization for a lot of years. And he's still young. And again, I'm not killing the kid. I'm just telling you, you got to start looking at the lack of progress.
Okay, and let's start looking. And again, I think it's fair to look. I truly do. So let's look. Let's probe deeper. Let's say June 19th, June 17th, when we're getting ready to beat up on Carton softball team. All right, we'll take that as a date. June 17th, and Evan's team, of course. And he has done nothing since this discussion until that point. So you say you want to examine it, and let's say he continues to do nothing. What are you going to do about it? I mean, we can sit here and say, and listen, last night did frustrate me. That bothered me. I am with you. I don't care if you lose. I mean, I don't like losing, but the way they lost bothered me. And the fact that he was centrally in the middle of it, that absolutely bothered me because it reinforced that he's definitely not doing what we thought he was supposed to do at this point. But if this continues, where are we going? Because you're either going to bench him or send him down. Otherwise, we're wasting our time having this discussion.
I don't think you're sending him down.
I agree with that.
Unless the errors tick up.
Yeah.
Unless he really starts to tank and goes into the 150 range. He's hitting 174, I believe, this month, and he's obviously he's just under 200 on the season. So I don't think he's going to get sent down, but. We also have this utility infielder who people might want to hate on him, but Isaiah Kiner-Falefa has been fantastic over the last couple of whatever it is, 12, 15 starts, whatever it's been. And if you got to spell him, you spell him. And this isn't about demoting him or taking the shine off of what the future expectation is going to be.
Yeah,
it is an adjustment to play in a Major League Baseball team and to have the expectation that he has and then not fulfill it for your team. The Yankees are lucky because there's so many games above 500 right now. They're not wallowing in that roller coaster ride that we talk about with the Mets. They're still ascending, and they took 2 out of 3 from Seattle. But you can't not look at Anthony Volpe's lack of production and say, oh, he's going to be okay. When you keep saying he's going to be okay, he'll figure it out. How do we know that?
Well, I'll tell you how. That's a great question. Well, in A ball and high A in his career, granted, not the biggest sample. He just turned 22. He wasn't in the minors that long, COVID, etc. In the lowest levels of the minors, Anthony Volpe in April and May combined, all those times he was there, was a 239 hitter with a 795 OPS, right? So, and again, that's the lowest level. So very unrefined pitching, guys who don't have great secondary stuff, didn't do great. In June and September, he hit over 300 with an 1100 OPS. That's the lowest levels. Now, in AA and AAA combined, in April and May, Anthony Volpe was a 203 hitter with a 684 OPS. And he turned it around, obviously, with an OPS of almost 900 in June and September at the AA and AAA level. Now, I remember last year, because I'm doing this with Dominguez now. We do it with Beatty. We did it with Mauricio. We do it with all the kids. You take a peep on Baseball Reference, Baseball Cube, Baseball Savant, whatever, Fangraphs, whatever you use, right?
MLB.com/prospects.
You can do that as well. And you see, what's my boy doing down there? And I just saw this morning Jason Dominguez has 7 home runs and I think 13 or 14 steals. The average slightly above 200, whatever. I remember doing this with Volpe a year ago, and I did it with you, and we did it on the Fan. And last season at AA Somerset, the first 38 games he played at AA, he was hitting 183. So you just directly asked me, where's the evidence that he's going to turn it around? Did I give you enough evidence?
It's double A.
I understand that. He's a slow starter.
It's not Major League
What's
Baseball.
Bobby Witt's excuse? He's hitting 220 this year. What's Carlos Correa's excuse? He's hitting 211. There's a lot of guys
Carlos Correa's probably hurt.
All right, okay.
Because we know this. It's right inside with the Mets. Hey. Bobby Witt, I don't know, and I don't care.
But Bobby Witt's the best prospect in baseball when he came out.
He's not on my team.
I understand that, but he's thought to be like this old-timer in terms of possibility. Not doing a whole lot this year. And did nothing his first 15 games a year ago.
I understand this.
This matters. It's baseball. It's hard.
It is matter, and it's early, and I'm not even saying that this is terminal for him. I think he'll figure it out. I really do.
Yeah.
But at some point, you have to start questioning why he still can't catch up to the high fastball. Now he got squeezed on a couple of those. There's a couple of those high fastballs that he took were out of the zone. They called strikes, but he can't catch up to them. Right? He's missing them, and he's swinging through them. And I watched some of his at bats, and it's almost like the pitcher. Now the kid last night, I'm forgetting his name. Pitched for Seattle. He was fantastic. He went 8+ innings. I'm forgetting his name, but it's almost like he knew exactly how to get Anthony Volpe.
He does, because there's this thing called the scouting report. 100% he knew.
And so if they have a scouting report on him already,
he's got to adjust.
I don't
disagree with that.
And you haven't seen it. Yeah. Some of the things that he was struggling with early, he's still struggling with. Mm-hmm. And again, there have been some really great moments, right? The walk-off, sacrifice fly a couple weeks ago, some of the home runs that he's hit. Some of them have been meaningful. Some of them have just been, tack-ons, added on, etc. But
confidence builder.
At some point, you got to start looking at the totality of his play, both in the field and at the plate in critical situations, and it's leaving a little bit to be desired right now. I know it's early, but it's still leaving some things to be desired.
All right, 877-337-6666. I'm not worried at all. I get what you're saying, but I'm not for sure. We're inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guarantee lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. I look at it this way. So I'm not going to bore anybody with the mechanics of hitting. I'm not a hitting coach. I'll stay in my lane. But one thing that I certainly see, and this goes along the lines of what Tiki's saying, I would like a slight subtle tweakage in approach. You go up there and you try to hammer a moonshot the first two pitches, which he always does. He swings from the heels. I like a slight reeling in. Mm-hmm. Take that first pitch, rifle it or just flat out take it.
Wherever
rifle it to right field.
Wherever the pitcher's trying to take you, go with it.
Yeah, give your legs a chance to be a real asset to the team when you're on base. You don't get thrown out stealing, but if you're not on base, you can't utilize your burst.
That's the other thing. I mean, he's an athlete, man.
Absolutely.
I always joke with you about this because I didn't play baseball. I stopped when I was, 13 or 14 or whatever.
You tell me about bunting here?
Yeah, not even. But if I was to play baseball because I was fast as hell, you know what? However, give me a shot. I don't have a shot to catch it up to a 98 mile an hour, chest high fastball. But hell, if I stick one down and you're not ready, I'm on first base before you know it.
Right?
I think there are ways for him to utilize his best asset, which is his speed, which he's not doing right now. And again, it's really early. Don't call us and say it's still early. I understand, but there's been a lot to be desired about a guy who we thought was going to be this stud when he came up to the Yankees.
It's funny, though, how we can frame this, right? And again, nobody's obscuring the fact that Anthony Volpe has been disappointing so far. It is not a realistic interpretation of his play so far to say anything other than that. Mm-hmm. You have to admit that. So that's a premise that's established by everybody except, the delusional ones, whatever. So there is negative stuff to look at. But I could also say, well, he's tied for fourth in home runs among shortstops. Mm-hmm. He's tied for, 8th or so in RBIs. Not great, but not horrendous. Fourth in stolen bases. And again, that's what's so interesting about baseball, and that's why the numbers, and we get into this with Lindor sometimes, I lean on the OPS, and then Met fans or ardent Lindor supporters, believers, they kind of hang their hat on other stuff. That's what makes the game really interesting. But I think what saves Volpe here is that he's not centrally dependent upon for the Yankees' success.
No.
If he was.
Right now, he's not.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully at some point in the next year or so, that becomes a piece of the puzzle because then he becomes the star that many of us think he will.
Yeah.
And I still absolutely think he will be that star. But if he was hitting second or hitting third or, like Judge was out and they're losing, now it's amplified and now we couldn't keep the lunatics at bay. I know last night was frustrating.
It was.
But they won 2 in a row before that. And by the way, if the Yankees would have scored 10 runs last night, which they came nowhere near, obviously.
Had 3 hits last night.
Yeah, I know.
Forget 10 runs. They had 3 hits.
I know. I think Higashioka had one of the hits. He's actually been playing pretty well lately. But if they would have scored 10 last night, it would have been the first time in Yankee history they went 10, 10, 10, and 10 or more in their entire history. So the Yankees' bats have been good. The Yankees' clutch value's been good. The Yankees' energy's been good. I get it. We got a little issue at shortstop. He's not the superstar out of the chute. I've got literally no concerns.
The Yankees are
None.
still 10 games over 500, so you're not worried about this. But last night in a clutch situation, I wanted him to come through. I really did.
So did I.
And he just and he didn't.
All right, let's get to you. 877-337-6666. Dan, Long Island. What's going on, Dan? How are you today, bud?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hello, Danny.
Cheeky,
What up,
before I lay it on you, let me just go with the Giants. Big Giant fan.
Thank you, man.
I'll say this: Andy Robustelli.
Robustelli.
He was my first Giant hero.
I love
that's
it.
how far I go.
I love it. Yeah, we got some things about the Giants. They need to stop talking about all these Ferraris. I think I'd rather a pickup truck than a Ferrari that's going to bust a tire on a New Jersey Turnpike. But anyways, go ahead. We'll talk about the Giants later.
Regarding Anthony Volpe, I mean, you got to just leave the kid be. How's he going to learn to work himself out of this? If he's not playing all the time. And secondly, Tierney hit all my points. I mean, look at him in the context of the team. The team is doing well. Yeah, he's struggling for average. The team is doing well. So look at him in the context of the team. Plus,
Well, I'll give BT that, Dan, because if they needed Volpe, if he was batting fifth or even sixth, you would really be worried.
Or like Zach Wilson a year ago, where you are so
dependent.
centrally
They're not
dependent. Yeah, no,
And so
he's
there's
a
a
little
luxury
piece right now.
There's a luxury that,
Yes.
that the Yankees have right now that they don't need him to be that guy. But I
Exactly.
think you also do him a disservice by not pointing it out, by not bringing it to light. Trust me, I remember these days when I had struggles as a Giant. Right, the way you get better is being told about yourself. Right, all right.
Yeah, I
I
agree with
fixed
that
my
part of
issue.
it.
Now what? And so there has to be a part of that. There has to be.
Oh,
and
I'm
I
sure
know
there
it's-
is. You
and
know
I know
there
it's
is.
I know it's
You know
happening
there is.
internally.
Yeah.
But we never talk about it externally.
Because it's just turned June.
It's because it's Anthony Volpe.
No, it's because it just turned June.
Yeah, but BT, there's
Come
been a lot of
on.
examples, and it's getting worse. By the way, it is his April was actually okay. It wasn't much over 200. I think it was 220. This month it's 178.
Yeah, it's low.
This month has been bad for Anthony
It's
Volpe,
low.
save for the home run.
And I'm going to ask you again, and you laughed when I asked you, but outside of Volpe, why do we, and I know, it's a rhetorical question because I know the answer. We illuminate his deficiencies now because he's Anthony Volpe, and we thought he would be amazing right away based on the spring and all the energy, but there are other guys who aren't doing their job on both the Yanks and the Mets. And it feels a little selective, though I understand
maybe
to hone in on Volpe.
Maybe that's part
it's
of the
June
issue.
1st.
Maybe that's part of the issue. They're all kind of underachieving in some regards. But look, reinforcements are on the way. Giancarlo Stanton will be back.
Yeah.
Hopefully tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow.
He's probably going to play in that Dodgers series.
Donaldson will be back.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Do we mean hopefully?
Maybe.
Did you just throw that in to be nice? Or?
Yeah, I mean, look, I want his bat to be alive.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if it is going to be or not. And if it's not, he's going to be DFA'd, and we'll figure out, what to do at third base with DJ, whoever. But, there is cavalry on the horizon for the Yankees. Not that they need it because they're 10 games over 500, but the Anthony Volpe conversation is one that needs to be had. It's early, but you still got to have
All
it.
right, well, we're having it. There you go. 877-337-6666.